Here's what's coming up on Network Africa today. Opposition groups in Tunisia call for protest ahead of October 6 presidential elections. The head of the United Nations Office to the African Union, Pepe Onaga Anyanga, stresses the importance of partnership between both organizations. Plus, Southwest Investment Company Limited says that courtesy visit to Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu with business on the menu. Hello and welcome to Network Africa on Channels Television. Thank you for joining us on the program today. I'm Anne Nwawadu. Let's start in Tunisia, where opposition and civil society groups have called for a mass protest against what they describe as President Said's authoritarian rule ahead of the October 6 presidential election, where 5 years ago, the streets of Tunis were alive with the vibrant energy of democracy as millions watched 15 candidates, including Kais Saied, engage in televised debates. There is hardly any activity now. But opinions on the current political climate are divided. While some are seeing the lack of visible campaigning as a sign of democratic regression, others view it as a positive development. President Kais Saied, once a participant in a diverse field of candidates, now faces only two opponents in what some people have described as a one-man show. Lawmakers loyal to Saied have all approved a law stripping the administrative court of authority over election disputes. Joining us now on the program to take a closer look at this is Professor of History and Strategic Studies, University of Lagos, Professor David Awurawo. Thank you very much for joining us, Professor, on Network Africa.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so let's begin. I mean, when you compare what Tunisia was like just before the last presidential election to what it is now, what would you say about it?
I will summarize developments in Tunisia from what it was 2017, 2018, 2019, compare what we have now as a case of optimism giving way to pessimism and hope giving way to despair. We know how President Said came to office in 2019. He came in the aftermath of the protests against authoritarianism, protests for democratic governance, and improvement of the quality of life of Tunisians in 2011. And that protest, had a domino effect, which turned things topsy-turvy in the Arab world, which brought democracy and more inclusive governance to several countries in the region, including Tunisia itself. Of course, it was an interim government, before the election of 2019. But now we are seeing the opposite of what people expected. One, we are seeing restriction of participation in the political process. We are seeing changing the electoral rule, the regulations, to increase the age for participation from 35 to 40, when indeed it was youths who led, the campaign for President Said before he became a candidate Said, as he then was in 2019, and several other things that Tunisians expected and hoped would happen in the aftermath of that election. First, the aftermath of the events of 2011, the upheaval of 2011, and also the events of 2019, the vibrancy that greeted the coming in of Said, the election, the victory in 2019. But now everything, just the opposite, is what is happening now. Those who have contested, who had a chance of contesting against him, have been arrested, and several other things that the man has done in this short period, which is very, very disheartening.
But Professor, why do you think the pool of those contesting right now has become so small?
Simple. All those who had a chance of winning, he has arrested them and looked for trump-up charges against them. And they have been banned from contesting. In fact, so a lot of them are in jail, at least two of them are in jail, and then banned from contesting in the election. So the only two left, actually, himself and a weak candidate that will not be able to, hold his own against him. So when you began by saying the process is not a one-man show, no expression could be more correct in describing the events leading up to the election of the next couple of days in Tunisia.
All right, but yet some are still saying, that the calm at the moment is a good thing. What are President Zaid's achievements in the country so far when you look at when he started till now?
Well, he has achieved a couple of things in terms of improving the quality of life of Tunisians. The development index favors Tunisia. There have been improvements in infrastructure, improvements, in development here and there. So we'll give that to him. But in terms of advancing the cause of democracy and popular participation in governance, and then, of course, people to express themselves and elect anyone they want or they wish to govern them, what we have seen is the opposite. And unfortunately, that will likely be what Zaid will be remembered for when all of this is over, because at some point, all of this will be over, and there will be a time to reflect and reckoning on how events have unfolded in Tunisia since 2019.
All right, but what is this implication when we talk about implication of stripping the administrative courts of power over election disputes? Is it even legal to say, or the administration does not have power to try legally, maybe try elections if anything goes wrong?
It's certainly illegal, and many of the things that the independent electoral body has done is illegal. For instance, the attempt to change the age, the qualification from 35 to 40, was even done when the law that says 40 was in place. So many illegalities have taken place. People say there's the law. I would say the law before the storm, because there is no way you muzzle free speech, rights of people to express themselves the way this president has done, and things will just go quietly. If there is calm, it will be calm before the storm, and that was how things were, under Ben Ali in the same Tunisia before 2011, and we saw the topsy-turvydom that characterized the response of the people, and how that turned things, upside down in the country before the country began to stabilize from 2017 and then elections of 2019. So it's illegal, and when illegalities like this are conducted, instability is what will be the consequence. I would just hope that it won't affect Tunisia too badly, because at some point there will be an implosion.
Professor David Aworawo is the Professor of History and Strategic Studies, University of Lagos. Thanks for your time and your contribution on Network Africa.
Thank you for having me.
Let's head to South Sudan, where among polarization and a perceived lack of political pluralism and trust between authorities and the citizens, political parties, civil society organizations and activists at the grassroots level are now all calling for civic and political space to be significantly expanded. There is widespread disappointment, there's frustration and confusion as to what many have come next among many South Sudanese. But what may come next is now the question, following the recent decision to extend the transitional government by 2 years. These sentiments became clear when the United Nations mission in South Sudan recently organized a 3-day-long political parties forum in Bor, in the country's volatile Jonglei state. Its focus was on ways to increase the civic and political space craved by most people.
Journalists are intimidated, they are harassed in events. When they go into the studio and they're giving out or doing their work, they are sort of threatened, and this is the situation here. When you look at the radio stations in Jonglei State, these radio stations, most of them or all of them, are really not free. They are completely not free. They are working in fear, because many radio stations have been closed. Many journalists have been, sort of harassed. They are threatened, and now people are fearing. And the only reports or the news you see, these are PR reports. But the real issues that are affecting the communities, and the voices, that comes out of these issues from the civil population, from the normal people, these things are not coming out. They are not being reported. Why? Because of fear for reprisal effects.
We have been struggling with the devastating floods. And when we talk about floods, they are affecting our basic needs. We find that many people are displaced. They are not settled in their areas. They are not engaged in farming. They are not residing where they are supposed to be. So this mass displacement, the issues of health also, where the waterborne diseases affecting them.
The head of the United Nations Office to the African Union, Pafe Onanga Anyanga, is reiterating that its partnership with regional organizations, including the African Union, is a cornerstone of effective multilateralism. But speaking at the UN Council, Mr. Onanga Anyanga noted that the several African countries and the sub-regions continue to face significant challenges to achieving lasting peace, security, and sustainable development. On her part, the permanent observer of the African Union to the United Nations, Fatima Kiari Mohammed, pointed out that the increased involvement in the current A3+ members as co-pen holders on key resolutions is also critical. She continues by saying the African Union anticipates practical steps, including the initiation of text-based intergovernmental negotiations to prioritize Africa in the reform of the UN Security Council.
AUC-led expanded mechanism continues to be a useful coordination platform for joint messaging to the belligerents to prioritize inclusive civilian-led political solutions and to silence the guns. Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger have decided to withdraw their membership of the Economic Community of West African States and to establish a new alliance of Sahel states. The United Nations and African Union are working to enhance their collective support in advancing democratic transitions in the region, working closely with ECOWAS. More broadly, we welcome the informal engagements between the AU-PSC and the countries in political transitions, aiming at facilitating the return to constitutional order, including just recently in Gabon.
The increased involvement of the current A3+ members as co-pen holders on key resolutions is also critical. The African Union anticipates practical steps, including the initiation of text-based intergovernmental negotiations to prioritize Africa in the reform of the UN Security Council.
Together, the African Union Commission and the United Nations Secretariat stand ready to translate Security Council Resolution 2719 into tangible actions that would contribute to lasting peace and stability on the African continent and beyond.
You're watching Network Africa. Still ahead on the program, almost 2 years after its absence, Emirates Airlines resumes flights to Nigeria. We'll bring you the details of this in just a moment. Please stay with us. Welcome back. Back here in Nigeria, the Odua Investment Company Limited has paid a courtesy visit to the Lagos State Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, to outline the company's business transactions and potential investments in energy, power, agriculture, real estate, among other things. The team, led by the chairman of Odua Investment Company Limited, Mr. Bimbo Ashiru, says that OICL is expanding its portfolio into uncharted business sectors, which could move the company to a global player in the future.
Because of the strategic position of Lagos State, we decided that we must have the Lagos licensing office in Lagos, and on our 15th floor in Western House, we have the Lagos State line, because we know that all the businesses that are coming in, instead of them traveling to Ibadan, they need to stay in Lagos. And we know we're going to have this partnership with Lagos. And I'll have the good news for you. Last year, Odua was rated A by Augusto. This year, in less than 1 year, we are now rated A+. And it clearly shows that because of our financial transparency, capability, capacity, and the corporate governance we have instituted, The issue of marginal field, you are aware that we got the marginal field license, and hopefully by God's grace too, in the middle of next year we should be doing drilling. We've moved our real estate business to Weberboard. We are doing Unity House, 75 apartments, 1 bedroom, 2 bedrooms, and 3 bedrooms apartments. We are asking for your permission, sir, to be able to have this walkway bridge like they have in Mobile. So we want to partner with you. We are going to start Lugard, 18C Lugard, about 9 floors, and we're praying that, I'm so happy that you give us necessary approvals.
And on his part, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu says that he believes that his leadership style and assures him of collaborating with the company to achieve more positive results for the group.
To all of the board of directors, I want to thank you for letting your chairman lead and lead very well, for believing in his leadership and for supporting him, to take this company, to a level that, like he said, we don't even make a phone call. I've never called him to say, what have you guys done or how you doing? Because we believe that we've taken our time to put all of you there, and we believe that you will continue to make the right decision that would uplift and take the company to an enviable level. In other areas of collaboration, we're here. We're here to build a very big cake, because only when you build a very big cake that you have an opportunity to take a very big pie, out of a cake. And it's the least we can do for our generation. It's the least we can do for our founding fathers that birthed, this name.
Outside our shores, the Djiboutian Coast Guard has been retrieving bodies of migrants who drowned off the coast of the Horn of Africa. According to the UN Migration Agency, 2 vessels carrying migrants sank in the Red Sea off the coast of Djibouti. That incident happened on Wednesday. It killed 45 people, and dozens are still missing from that incident. The International Organization for Migration in Djibouti, who is supporting state emergency services, confirms that so far 55 people have been rescued and are receiving medical and psychological support. Some of the migrants also report that they were forced off their vessel in the open sea by smugglers. Smugglers have been known to board vessels full of people willing to risk their lives to get to Europe. In Egypt now, the Egyptian government has vowed to fight private tutoring and considers it one of the biggest challenges facing the educational system in the country. However, critics are saying that teachers' low pay and the resulting deteriorating schooling system have all turned students away from public schools.
An abrupt decision by Egypt's new education minister to remove several core subjects from final year exams for high school students has exposed the strains on an under-resourced and highly competitive schooling system in the country. The move to cut a foreign language and either geology, psychology, or philosophy from the subjects that count towards university entrance grades affects hundreds of thousands of students, many of whom are scrambling to adjust their plans for continuing their studies and finding a job. Tens of thousands of teachers will be reassigned and may struggle to replace supplementary income earned through private tutoring. Amongst those is French language teacher Hussein Abul Ainin, who's been teaching high school students for 40 years. According to the new decisions, grades of a final examination in a second foreign language will not be counted towards final grades of high schoolers. So, students won't bother taking private tutoring, which will affect the income of teachers like him. The Ministry of Education says the new decisions aim to lift the burden of the students and their parents by decreasing the number of subjects counting towards final high school scores, essential for university entrance in Egypt. But critics accuse the authorities of attempting to reduce government spending on education. According to the Alternative Policy Solutions Center at the American University in Cairo, government spending on education has increased monetarily as inflation soared over the years, but declined in terms of total government spending and as a percentage of GDP.
After almost 2 years of no landing in Lagos, Emirates Airlines has now resumed flight services to Nigeria. According to the Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, the partnership will foster economic development and strengthen the nation's aviation sector as more carriers will enter the market, and it brings convenience to Nigerian travelers.
Emirates returns to Nigeria after 2 years, and it's cause for celebration. But for Nigerians in the UAE, this good news begs some questions.
What will happen to the Nigerian guys that could not get work permits for 3 years now? What will happen to Nigerian babies that were given back here until now they could not get visa? What will happen to Nigerian businesses that are finding it difficult to renew their licenses?
The longer-awaited return is expected to signal a total restoration of diplomatic ties, which many hope will encourage free flow of travelers and trade.
I must say kudos to those who have tried all their efforts to make sure that this comes to reality.
While many expect that restrictions on all visas and work permits for Nigerians are resolved, entrepreneurs have high hopes of economic increase.
It's going to go a long way to alleviate most of our stress. So it's really a welcome idea, and we are really grateful to the Dubai government and Nigerian government for the collaboration and coming together to make this happen.
A new chapter is open. However, the lessons learned from the past cannot be soon forgotten.
You lose sleep, you get stressed and all that because you're running the business the wrong way.
Seasoned investor Joe Sawaye is one many look up to for guidance and inspiration. From his experience navigating the past 2 years, he advocates business innovation for sustained relevance in the UAE market.
So for the past 2 years, we have morphed into a different kind of restaurant to be able to cater for the other non-Nigerians that are here, even though we're a Pan-African restaurant, but a big chunk of our business is from Nigeria.
They say all is well that ends well, and for this new beginning, or should we say reboot, only time will tell if this is to be a sustained happy ever after between Nigeria and the UAE. From Dubai in the United Arab.
And finally, on the program, veteran South African gospel artist Solomon Molakoen, popularly known as Soli Moholo, has died at the age of 65. The award-winning music icon had been in hospital for several weeks after falling ill while on a music tour in Botswana just last month. He rose to fame in the early 2000s, became a household name in South African traditional gospel music. His management says that he will be fondly remembered for the healing music he gave over the years. Fellow gospel singers, friends and fans have all taken to social media to pay tribute to the late gospel star, including the ruling African National Congress, which described Moholo as a true icon in the South African music industry. Our thoughts and prayers remain with his family. And thank you for watching Network Africa today. That's it on the program. I'm Anne Mwawadu.